Not enough minerals.
Hello everyone and welcome to another Starcraft 2 live cast. For this one we're playing a TvZ on some map. What's the name? Eastwatch. New to the season.
Not enough minerals.
That might work a little bit late. Hopefully it gets there in time to block the hatchery.
Go ahead.
Not enough minerals.
SCV ready. SCV ready. Ah! You scared me. Huh? SCV ready.
Not enough minerals.
I can't build here. What? You...
Not enough minerals.
SCV ready.
I'm guessing he's taking a different hatchery now with a... Oh, maybe not.
Bad news. I can't build
Ooh,
here.
interesting.
Will do.
Oh, that's an optimistic hatchery.
What's going on?
Not enough minerals.
But
Not enough minerals.
it will pay off, because I can't do anything about it. However, he doesn't know that yet, so
SCV ready. Move it.
he may feel like he has to all in or something.
Big job, huh?
Base is under attack.
In the rear with the
Not
gear.
enough.
Probably should have gone back and added to that engineering bay.
Not enough minerals.
SCV ready. Going. Ah!
Base is under attack.
SCV ready. SCV ready.
Additional supply depots required.
Big job, huh?
Alright, let's go ahead and take that gas.
What's going? Huh?
Guessing he's going to 3 hatch, so
Who wants some? Go, go, go!
Command center upgrade complete.
This better be good.
Command center upgrade complete.
SCV ready.
that cancel's always expensive, having to cancel a reactor.
SCV ready. Been waiting on you. Orders received. Bad news. SCV ready.
Add-on complete.
SCV ready. Yes, sir. We... SCV ready. SCV ready.
Not enough minerals. Not enough minerals.
SCV,
Not
Okay.
enough minerals. Not enough minerals.
SCV ready. In the rear with the gear. SCV ready.
Add-on. Additional supply depots required.
Bad. Ah! You scared me! Ready to roll out! SCV ready. Huh? Ready.
Continue siege tank production. It's good against Hydras, which is kind of the meta these
Go
days.
ahead.
Not enough minerals. Not enough minerals.
SCV ready.
Insufficient. Not enough minerals.
SCV ready. SCV ready. What's going on?
Command center upgrade complete. Not enough minerals. Not enough.
SCV ready.
Not enough minerals. Not enough minerals. Not enough minerals. Not enough minerals.
SCV ready.
Not enough minerals.
Be rough on the mineral front. Looks like he's already at the lair, so.
SCV ready.
Insufficient.
SCV ready.
gas.
SCV ready. What's going on? SCV ready.
Research.
Fueled up, ready to go. SCV ready. It's all me. SCV ready.
Command center upgrade complete.
SCV ready. Yes, sir. SCV ready. SCV
Okay.
ready.
Upgrade.
SCV ready. Go ahead. SCV ready. Big job, huh? Gotcha. SCV ready. SCV ready. Ready to roll out. Ah!
Insufficient.
SCV ready. Rolling, huh?
Oh, what?
Well done. Speak up.
That was strange.
What's going on?
Additional supply depots required.
Bad news?
Additional supply depots required.
Did not expect that to happen.
Engineering at your disposal. Order accepted.
Ah! You scared me! Huh? I can't build here.
Scanning battlefield conditions. Commencing
Mineral field depleted.
command authority.
SCV ready.
Mineral field depleted. Add-on complete.
Immediately underway.
SCV ready.
Loud and clear.
Mineral field depleted.
Command authority.
Research complete.
System.
Mineral field add-on complete. Not enough. Insufficient.
Alright, so we got some more ravens on the way.
Big job, huh?
Let's add
Insufficient
factories.
Vespine gas.
Yep. SCV ready. We hear you.
Armories.
Go ahead.
Additional supply depots.
SCV ready.
Command center upgrade complete.
Oh. My ravens didn't fly back. Oh man, that was a huge misclick.
Insufficient Vespine gas.
Big job, huh? Well, butter my biscuit.
Add-on complete. Gas. Insufficient Vespine gas.
Ready to raise some hell.
Raven online.
Ready to raise some hell.
Raven online. Systems primed. Commencing right away.
Add-on complete.
Underway. Raven. Systems primed.
Mineral field depleted.
Yes, sir. Ready to raise some hell.
Raven online.
Insufficient Vespine gas.
I'm waiting on you. Sounds sweet. Burn rubber.
Insufficient Vespine gas. Mineral field depleted.
Ready to raise some hell. Ready to raise some hell.
Mineral field depleted.
In the rear with the... Ah! Scared me!
Command center upgrade complete.
Raven.
Ready to
Research.
raise...
Additional supply depots. Mineral field.
Raven online.
Additional supply depots required. Additional
Got
supply.
an extra firepower. Daylight's burning. All day long. Hell yeah!
Command center upgrade complete.
Okay.
Upgrade complete. Additional supply depots required. Our SCVs are under attack. Upgrade complete. Additional supply depots required. Base is under attack. Additional supply depots required. Mineral field. Your forces are under attack.
Go ahead.
Base is under attack.
Command. Systems
Our
primed.
SCVs are under attack.
Operator.
Alright. Fix that.
Ready to raise some hell.
Is this me lagging? Can't even tell.
It's heating
I think
up
so.
out here. Where's the hot action? Pedal to the metal. Is that it? Got any extra firepower?
Raven online.
Command mineral field. Unacceptable landing zone.
Understood. Order accepted.
Ready to raise some hell.
Job confirmed. Command authority registered. Systems primed.
Ready to raise some hell.
Right away.
It's heating up out here. Ready to raise some hell.
Raven.
Vespine geyser exhausted.
Burn rubber. Pedal to the
Raven
metal.
online.
Ready to raise some hell.
Order acknowledged.
Mineral field depleted.
Cleared some forward creep.
Mineral field depleted.
Ready to raise some hell.
Mineral field depleted.
Operator engaged. Dispatch required assistance. Command authority registered. Order acknowledged.
Command center upgrade complete.
Understood. Command authority registered.
Ready to raise some hell. Got any extra firepower? What's going on? Well, butter my biscuit. Ready to raise some hell. I'm going. Yep. It's heating up out here. Ready to raise some hell.
Wait.
Bad news.
Engineering at your disposal.
Got
I need more
extra
upgrades, yeah.
firepower.
Commencing.
In the
More
rear
command
with the
centers.
gear. It's heating up out here. I never tread.
This vessel requires assistance. Operator is
Command center.
It's heating up out here.
underway. Understood.
Yeah, he's got really good overlord coverage.
Accepted.
Your forces are under attack.
Ascrafter's not the way to do this, though. I've seen no sign of Vipers.
Job
Light it up.
Your forces are under attack.
command. Job
Ready to raise.
Additional supply depots required. Mineral field depleted. Vespine geyser exhausted.
Ah! You scared me.
Mineral field depleted.
In the rear with the gear. Woohoo! Overtime.
Additional supply base is under attack.
I can't build here. Sure thing.
command. Ready for service. Systems prime. Commencing. Order accepted. Command. Command authority.
Pretty good.
Light it up.
Upgrade complete.
Ah! You scared me. Got any extra firepower?
Order accepted. Operator engaged. Operator engaged. Command.
Daylight. What's the story?
Oh, I think I moved command them all there. So that was an interesting game. Kind of faced a fast tech Zerg. And probably a strong economy as a unintentional side effect of this engineering bay block. Usually Zerg players will say, man, there's no way to defend both these with queens. You know, if I can't defend my initial bases with queens, I kind of need an army. And if I'm going to build an army, I might as well do something aggressive. And I thought that's how it would go. But he just kind of went 3 hatch. And his army count was 2 Zerglings. He got a decent scout. Decided he didn't need more. I have expected this to happen. Once I didn't see any aggression, and the fact that he just looked like he was going to take his 3rd hatch fast. But there's only so much I can do to try to keep pace with it. Tried to be as greedy as I could with these 2 bases. Now I did expand towards him, and this was his first base, right? So his creep spread's already approaching my expansion. Fortunately, I didn't get a Viking at this game. Would have been handy. So the Banshee will automatically shoot at things that can shoot back at it. So it'll shoot at the Hydras. The Planetary needs to be focused onto the Hydras because you don't really want to be shooting the Locusts. They do have very high DPS and they're kind of like glass cannons, high DPS, low hit points. But Hydras are also glass cannons and they don't die automatically after a period of time like the Locusts do. So it's better to kill the units that will survive this fight. Man, I really thought I was going to hold that though. All the Hydra's dead and 3 SCVs repairing. This is dumb. I should at least be building it here. This just seems way too optimistic. But you know, you lose a base and you just kind of rebuild it like right in position. Just like one of those weird mental reactions people have. You see it from the pros too, where they may not build it on position, but if they just lost the base, then they'll build it on position. Doesn't mean it's a smarter time to do it, it's just more reactive to having lost the base. Got most of the new creep tumors, so that's good. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6 bases to 4. Worker counts are similar. So there, this was my micro plan, was throw down auto turrets, shift click back my Ravens, and then use the auto turrets and Planetary to focus on the Hydras and make sure they're not focused on Locusts. And step 2 did not work. They were supposed to place and then retreat back, but they're not retreating back, they're just hanging out. So the Hydras are having a field day killing all my Ravens. So that was painful. Put me back to a Raven count of 4 and they're injured. It's not really getting a whole lot of work out of these. Swarm host though. Like the fact that they can launch every 40 seconds, and I think he probably was launching less than half of that time. It's almost like when you use Swarm host, it's almost gotta be like injects, like something you gotta remember to always be using. The way you use it is good though. You put the Locust out front to tank the damage, then have the high DPS of the Hydras behind. It's hard to do that on defense, but when you're on the offense, you can pull that off. So you did kill a couple more Ravens, but we're up to 11. And I think now we're starting to look good. We're trying to mass expand. The mineral bank is crazy, so we got the Hellbats going non-stop. Hydras and Swarmhosts are not the best units in the game at taking out Hellbats. Hydras can kite them, but if they don't, you know, this happens. Because they are light units, so the Blue Flame Hellbats do a very high amount of damage. Kind of decided it was okay to lose space here. It's going to be hard to hold anyways. But once I saw that there was Broodlords, I'm like, I can focus on throwing auto turrets down here and throwing down a bunch of auto repair and try to save this. Or I can just let whatever's going to happen over here and concentrate on getting my Ravens on these Broodlords. Which is what we did. Killed all but 2. Now got those as well. I think what I should do for this map is actually kill these rocks. I can always float in and take the base. The killing the rocks means it's much more difficult for Zuri to take the base. You'll have to send some army over and break his way in. You might also think that I've expanded there when I haven't. And you get tricked that way. And just like pulling off one Hellbat to do that when I do these attacks. It's doable. There's lots of rocks on this map. There's something weird to the pathing up here too. I guess not. Hellbat's going around the edge of the map. It's probably a good time to send the Ravens to the middle. And it's really getting to the point where the army size is quite strong in my favor. The Hellbats are doing a really good job on the outside. We're still expanding. Ravens are handling his army and handling the middle attacks. That's worth watching again just for the fun part. You're facing Mass Raven and you get scanned and you're in a forward position. Be scared. Just saying. This is your warning, Zerg players. God, these guys on move command. Don't mind us. Yeah, that happens every once in a while when you use the select all army hotkey, as I do. It's very convenient. Keeps you from having to learn micro mechanics, and it's actually very useful as well for ways to like select all of one unit type. Do like select all army hotkey and then control click a Raven, and all of a sudden you have every Raven on the map selected. But every once in a while you'll screw up using it. Could have had these Hellbats attacking over here, and these Hellbats attacking down here during that time. Units lost is 3-1. Our Raven count has hit 31. Kind of a fan of this big map. Ravens can handle covering quite a bit of space. They're not super mobile like siege tanks or BCs. I mean, I guess BCs kind of have a gimmicky way of being mobile with the teleport, but they're very slow units. And the fact that they can pass over any terrain, like walls and stuff, means they can cover spread out bases pretty well. And then sensor towers give you a little bit of extra time, which means you kind of play the turtle style and expand like crazy. Just keep expanding and expanding. Like take over the entire map. At the same time, even with all this mass expanding, we have plenty of minerals to just be spitting out Hellbats like crazy, all while growing our Raven count. And you can see with 6,000, almost 6,000 gas to make, you could have grown it a lot more. How many workers do I have? 81. Seems like a pretty good number. I think 4 mineral lines is more than enough to have going at any one time. So like 20 mineral patches worth of workers. One thing I did forget this game. Usually occurs to me when there's no real easy or good place to expand to is to start turning some of these command centers into orbitals. But I should have a bunch of orbitals by now. I don't need it for like mass muling or anything, but it's nice to always have scan available. Even though this guy I try not to use for anything but scanning later in the game, it's still usually not enough, especially if the battles are getting more intense. Anyways, it was a TvZ. Quick Storm Host style. I mean, we are weaker against Swarm Host now. Seeker Missile does a lot less damage. Auto turret, so you have to get right on top of the enemy. I haven't faced it enough to really know. Like he had maybe 10 at the most at any point in the game. But he went up to like 15, 20 Swarm Hosts, enough to just always be able to kill a base when you send in Locust. You know, unless I throw down a big auto turret spread in the front. Might have been trouble. Especially if you got some forward stack defense. Yeah. I mean, they are paper, like... They don't do anything when they're on cooldown. So, this Hellbat stuff, I think, is the answer to it. So oddly enough, I think when you see Swarm Hosts, your first thought should be, do I have my 3 factories? And if not, start building them. Because once you can start pumping out these minerals and sending it around the map, then you can really exploit the fact that Swarm Host can't defend. And if he splits his army, like sends his roaches and hydras and stuff like that to deal with your Hellbats running around, then all of a sudden the Swarm Hosts are a little more vulnerable. You can find them and maybe auto turret them. Good news is Blizzard is holding off on the nerf to the new Seeker Missile. So Mass Raven is still going to be viable, at least for me. This new Seeker Missile, or I guess anti-armor missile, I should call it, it probably should be nerfed. It's not stronger than the old Seeker Missile, but it's a really dumbed down version of it. It's like, yeah, you're doing less than 1/6 the damage, but it always hits. It, like, you can never fizzle it out, and it always hits hard. Like, it always, like, if you're clumped up, you're always hitting that clump. There's no reaction from your opponent. You can't really split up his units. Whereas in the past, you know, just 2 Seeker Missiles could destroy a whole bunch of Mutalisks. But, you know, when a Queen walking off creep is fast enough to fizzle out a Seeker Missile, it's hard to really justify having an excuse why you lost all your mutas. So the damage you take from Seeker Missile is much more in your opponent's hands, which I think is the way it should be. Right now, your opponent must feel just completely helpless when they face this new Seeker Missile. It's like, what, you have any units clumped together? Okay, they're all disappearing now. But 1/6 the damage really means you gotta expend a lot of energy to do it. But I found that's typically okay. Because if you win a big fight because of your anti-armor missile, it doesn't really matter that you're out of commission for the next 3 minutes because you have to generate energy again because he's got to rebuild his army again. And as long as you have enough static defense and siege tanks and stuff, he can't really push in with half an army. He's got to rebuild it. But that said, I've just been facing this huge onslaught of Zergs who just mass units. And like, I'm gonna make a big pile of corruptors because that will counter ravens or something. Like, I haven't faced anyone who's like try to do their own endgame units. Like, let's get some Ultralisk, some Parasitic Bomb going, you know, start sieging with Broodlords and have some Infestors ready to fungal the Ravens, or you know, just get a whole bunch of stack defense, like things like that. I haven't faced any of those Zergs. They just try to out-tempo me. Hydras, and more Hydras. And then maybe some Corruptors later. Everything's super vulnerable to splash damage. I've gone way off on a tangent though, so I think we'll call it the end of this video. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and I'm out of here. Goodbye.